And the countdown expires. Welcome in, friends. It is another Monday. Hashtag Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Showtime, Bobby Chaffee, Rodney Rodriguez, all of you, as we do it once again. Bobby, man, this is the end of the year. This year's just flown by, man. It's like you look up, boom, it's gone. It's a whirlwind, man. It's crazy.
Well, it happens that way every year, right? I mean, you sit there and you're like, this year's going by slow. Like dog days of summer, like, damn, this year's going on long and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, here comes New Year's Eve, and you're sitting there waiting for a drink and making sure everybody, first off, make sure everybody parties responsibly this year. That's number one. If you remember, buzz driving is drunk driving. So make sure that's your public service announcement for us at the Revved Up Sports Show this year. So yes, extra drinking is not conducive to driving. So make sure that if you're going to have a couple of beverages, either have it at your house or spend the night or get a designated driver.
That's it. Get in that Uber, man. Ride that Uber thing around. That's one of the things that I found out later in life is that ride sharing thing is pretty damn cool. When they come and pick you up and they're wheeling you around. I mean, that's a really cool thing. And I got to tell you, a lot of times I do a lot of ride sharing, and that's not so much to do about buzz driving and so forth. I just do a lot of ride sharing, and that to me is some of the best conversations that I've had in 2024 has been, riding, whether it be with an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi, whatever the case may be. Those conversations right there that you have, because I think that's something that's really lacking these days. When COVID came along and everything that we were dealing with at that point, I think conversations kind of it went away. There's nothing cooler than riding in a car with somebody and then you just strike up a conversation, and odds are it's like you have something in common with them. That's always the craziest shit that I find out. I mean, whether it be with racing, whether it be with people in sports radio or people that were realtors at some point, it's like you start talking and having a conversation, and damn, you have a lot in common with people.
It depends, man. Half the time I get into an Uber, though, remember that guy in Vegas ran over my damn foot? I don't have the best of luck in Ubers like you do. I got the one guy driving over my foot. I got the one guy that was quiet and then ended up looking like a serial killer in New York City. Like, I mean, you must have a hell of a lot better luck with rideshare than I got.
Yeah, I
almost died with a rideshare in Paris one time. Thought I was going to die. We got around that Arc de Triomphe or whatever. That one that's the world famous roundabout that not a soul over there on that side of the world knows how to drive.
I gotta tell you, dude, one of the funniest rideshare things that I have to talk about was years ago. Well, the Cowboys were good. Well, I guess they've been good. It's just one of those things where, whatever the case is. I was going to a Cowboy game.
The last time they were decent, they didn't have Uber.
No.
I had to.
So I'm riding. Yeah, I'll give you that one. So I'm riding around. I'm riding around trying to get to the Cowboy game. And the dude picks me and another dude up, and he's like, okay, AT&T Stadium or whatever. So we're sitting in traffic, and it's gridlock, and he's like, how bad do you want to get there? And I'm like, dude, they kick off in 30 minutes. I want to get there pretty fucking bad, at this point. And so he's like, you got $20 cash? I'm like, yeah, I did. So I gave him $20. This dude takes us through the back roads, and it was like white knuckle. He's like, hold on. Don't give me a review. Don't report me. This dude's doing all kinds of shit, man. It was like riding with Kyle Larson. I mean, because this dude was fishtailing and doing all these different things, and he like dumps us out right in front of Jerry World. I'm like, dude, I don't know how he did this, and it was hey, but he got me there. He got me there.
I mean, that's all that matters. He got you there.
He got me there, and the fare was cheap. I mean, it cost me the extra $20. I may have slipped him a beer or two, but I think they monitor that a little bit closer these days. But yeah, man, those ride shares, it's trust me, it is a very good thing to do. And like Bobby said, I mean, hit the nail on the head right there. If you're going to be out and about these next couple of days, yeah, utilize that stuff, man, because they will gladly take you wherever you want to go. And if it's like $100 for a ride, well, the alternative is not any.
DWI attorneys are expensive.
Yes, it's horrible. It's horrible. And if it happens during this holiday, I think it's probably something that you don't want to get yourself into.
Yeah, definitely. Because most times you get pop with the DWI, you won't see the judge till at least a second.
That's the thing. Your ass is stuck in there. I mean, if you get into the lockup in a small town, I mean, you may be able to, if somebody gets wind that you're in trouble, they may be able to get a judge to, give you to help you out a little bit ahead of time. Trust me, I know that. Growing up in a small town, and sometimes those contacts help you out if you get in a bad situation. But
the judge is only there to sign warrants for blood draws. That's pretty much what the judge is concerned about. So
yeah. So just be smart, you guys, because it's a great time of year. I mean, the holidays are done. Well, Christmas is done. I mean, New Year's is going to be a hell of a good time. And on the show tonight, coming up, because we do have talking about Kyle Larson. That dude won $100,000 this morning.
Was that Australian money or that's Australian dollars?
I think so, because they were talking about after the race that he was. Whoever won, there was going to be some donations, and they were talking about pounds. I think they were talking about. So I guess that's Australian money.
Well, pounds are in England, but
oh well, shit.
I mean, Australia is related to England, so maybe I just thought they had like a U.S. dollar, an Australian dollar, and a pound is the British currency. So
maybe that was some other show that I was watching. Shit, dude, I don't know, man. These days are all rolling together on me, man. It's like I don't even know the day. It's like I think today's what. Today's Monday.
Today's Monday. You should know today.
We're doing the show. So, and that's, hey, man, and that's the whole thing. I had a lot of people reaching out, and it's like, man, why don't you guys go on break like everybody else? We don't do that. We don't take breaks unless we have to.
Yeah.
Unless we have
if we're not on the air, there's usually a pretty damn good reason for it.
If we're not on the air, there's probably a travel thing or something else. I mean, but yeah, we don't take breaks. I mean,
realistically, if there's 52 weeks in a year, we do at least 45 shows a year.
Yeah. I mean, this ain't no sitcom. Well, I mean, it kind of is. It is a sitcom, but I mean, we don't take breaks. I mean, there's no need to take a break. You take a break and then you have to catch up. And that's the whole thing. Bobby and I can't remember yesterday. So we have to do it as often as possible that we were able to talk about this stuff and keep you people in the loop.
Keep them entertained. That's the hardest part, right? With today's attention span, that sometimes gets hard to do, keep people entertained and keep them on the hook.
Our man, John Ray, checking in on the Racing America Facebook page, which, by the way, Racing America, Revved Up Sports Show, the Twitch, the Twitters, it's everywhere. It was $100,000 of Australian money. I don't know what the currency difference is. I don't know exactly how all of that shakes out. The only currency.
Let me ask Alexa. Hold on just a second.
Ask that old bitch what's going on here, man.
Alexa, how much is 100,000 Australian dollars in US dollars?
If she calls you sexy, I'm gonna freak out.
$150.02.
How much?
Just said $2,150, but that's not right. I think it was $250,000. You were talking to her at the same time. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know.
That's still a lot of money right there. It's a pretty good payday right there for him. And to go out there, and again, he does it in fashion. I mean, he kind of showed up when he showed up yesterday or Saturday, whatever Saturday is over there. And the dude had never raced there, and boom, there he is. I mean, the guy's the best in the business. I mean, I don't care how you want to spin this. I mean, when you talk about Kyle Larson, you're talking about guys like AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti, and these are guys where it's something that's in them where they are just that good to where they can drive anything. Kyle Larson is definitely that of this era right now.
Well, AJ Foyt never won a race in Australia, I don't think.
I don't think so either. AJ wouldn't have gone over there. You know how he is. He's not going over there. He said, I ain't going down under. at least to race. I'm not at least to Australia. I mean, old AJ. I mean,
This damn chart is not working.
Coogan. Oh, AJ Foyt. I watch that one over the holiday, over Christmas. I watched the 1982 Indianapolis 500 with the Coogan incident. I watched that. But coming up on the show, speaking of that, because we do have a guest tonight, and kind of what we'll do a little bit later on is we'll just kind of recap 2025, look forward to or 2024. Look forward to 2025, just some of the thoughts. And again, all the chat lines are open. If you're on the Texas Sports Unfiltered free audio only app, 512-222-9328 is that Coda text line if you want to check in there as well as we go along. But we'll just kind of do all that.
Right, I got it figured out.
Oh, here we go.
For every $1 Australian, that converts to 62 American cents. So for every $100, it's $62.14. For every $1,000, that's $621.43. And then for every 100,000 Australian dollars, it's $62,143.45 before taxes.
Hey, that ain't bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I only look at pesos, because I'm one of those guys. So, I just kind of look at that currency translation. Although every time I'm going to Mexico, I'm paying in American money. So I don't even know why
pesos.
I don't know why I even look at that. I mean, I just think it's fascinating. I mean, isn't it crazy that in this world, and again, we're about to spin this thing around to 2025. Jude Allgaier is coming up, by the way, in about 2 minutes, as we're going to talk to him, because there are some really big racing events going on right now. The Tulsa Shootout is happening. You got a hell of a race that's going to be going on at Dillon Motor Speedway that we'll talk about. So we'll get into all that. But Jude,
I knew a guy that told me about that race on the internet.
Which one?
The Dillon, the New Year's Bash.
Oh man,
I heard a guy on that.
That dude, that guy. That dude does some smashing promos, by the way. But we'll talk about that because that's a really cool event there, and it showcases street stocks. I think some of the stories of the race are going to be with the dirt late models that are going to be coming up. But take a look at that right there, Bobby. That's going into turn 1 at Dillon last year, dude. If that doesn't give you a hard on, I don't know what will.
Be nice. We got a kid coming on.
Oh, sorry, Jude. But
that should make most people excited. Your red-blooded American males should be excited about that picture. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at that right there. You got a Monty right there on the inside, and then you got the Camaros on the outside, and that's I always laugh now when I see, because the resurgence there of the asphalt cars, and it's like you see the guys that are putting the Monte Carlo bodies on the Camaros and all that, and it's like, why do that? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know what the rules are, but people would have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never seen a Monte Carlo, the body's Monte Carlo. I've never seen that body, the SS. I've never seen one of those Monte Carlos have leaf springs. Hey, but what do I know?
I'm sure there ain't no body to motor combination anymore. So everybody's running a 350. So
you just do whatever. All right, here we go. And we'll with that entrance. Thanks for the reminder there, Bobby. Let's go diving in. We got a big one happening, and it is a big month that's about to be going down over there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You got the Chili Bowl coming up a little bit later in the month, but right now it fires off tomorrow, and we got one of our dudes down there. We had one of our ladies that is there now that we talked to last week. Here is the dude, Jude Allgaier, live from the Tulsa Expo Center. How you doing, dude? So what's going on over there, man? What's the atmosphere? What's the feel of everything happening at this point?
Well, I mean, we just had moving day today, and we have practice tomorrow.
Nice.
So tell me, Jude, are you bored up there? Is there a lot of stuff to do? It's the holidays, right? Are you peeking at any ladies? Or are you concentrating on that race car?
Nope. I think you got muted somehow there, Jude. Try it again, my man.
I'm concentrating on the race. Yeah.
That's the right answer. That's the right. When you get older like me and Rodney, you'll pay attention to stuff other than your race cars. That's why you're a whole lot faster than we were at your age. So
yeah. When you get to be our age, you figure out where the concession stand is what you do. So Jude, let's talk about it, man. I think, what do we have? About 1,600 racers there, or no, 700 racers. I mean, this is outrageous, man. I can only imagine what the scene looks like around there.
Yeah, there's 170 restrictors, but there's like 400 in all the other classes, so it's pretty cool.
Sheesh.
So, Jude, tell us about your racing career, man. Obviously, a lot of people know you around this part, but we're all over the country now. No pressure. Tell people about yourself. Tell them what you've raced before, some of the go-kart stuff you've done there in South Texas, and then how you got into this car you got right now.
It's in the local area. Then I started racing go-karts when I was like 5. Then I got into micro sprint when I was about 8 or 9.
Man. So kind of talk about that part, because you get a lot of kiddos that start out and they may start out in something a little bit slower, something with fenders on it. But you have dove in here into the open wheel stuff, man, because it's so much about reflexes and kind of talk about that with driving these machines the way you do, and you drive them at a very high level, I'd like to say.
They're really, they have a lot of, so the big cars, they're like more, they have all that weight on them, so they can push up or do a bunch of stuff. But these cars, they take off a lot faster, and it's just more about, it's a lot different.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Jude, what are you doing? Hey, are you doing homeschool? Oh,
Oh my God.
I thought
no.
this kid was over here. He's got a laptop. I thought he was doing some schoolwork at the track. I really thought he was putting it together. But I'll let him get back to the interview. He's ready.
Brad, you thought he was working on his health class work.
There was this computer. I thought, man, this kid is going above and beyond, doing schoolwork on the holiday break while at the racetrack. I thought we were going over the top. But he's talking to you two guys. And man, I hope y'all don't. We got it. What we gonna do to put you in victory lane? Come on, Rodney. What's he got to do?
I mean, you just got to get to the flag first. I mean,
No, he's got to wear out the front bumper, and if that don't work out, you got to wear out the right side wheels. And if that don't work out, we got extra wings in the trailer. This kid's going to the front.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about.
We'll see you guys.
All right, Brad. Take care, my man. There he is, Brad Dixon. Of course, right. Yeah. Go ahead.
One race at a time.
One race at a time. See, you got those kind of people corrupting you. What are you doing with that guy? I mean, that's not a good look. I'm just kidding. That's a good dude right there. So talk about that, Jude. I mean, because this race really is like you're talking about all the different competitors that you have there, and it's going to be from different parts of the country. I mean, to get out there, you don't know the tendencies of these people. I mean, that's one of those things. You just kind of hang it out there and let the damn thing go.
Yeah, it means a lot to me if I could win this race, and it'd be really cool.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your car, man. What kind of cars are racing up there this week at the Tulsa Shoot? Are they micro 600s, or what are they?
Yes, sir, but they're a restricted A class. So the difference between an A class car and a restricted car, visually you can't tell the difference, but in a restricted car you have a restrictor plate in, but in an A class car you have more power and you don't have a plate.
Jeez. So Jude, I mean, with these cars, are there, because I know a lot of people when they talk about sprint cars and so forth, and do these cars have brakes? I mean, because it's a lot of times, you don't, there's not a need for a brake pedal in these cars. I mean, how does all of that work for you? Is it all throttle?
Sir, what did you say? I'm sorry, the thing came on.
That's all right. I know you're in a crowded place over there. So is there the brakes? I mean, are there brakes on the car, or do you work everything with the throttle and the wheel and trying to drop that backside over that right side over the corner right there?
You need brakes. Brakes are pretty usable.
Nice.
So we know Brad said the goal is to just go wide open, use up as many front bumpers as we can, or as you can. So don't let him sway you, right? It's not the Lone Star 600 that you're racing at this time. It's the Tulsa Shootout. But so tell me about that, though. I mean, you're a young dude, right? So it's like some of the younger kids, the older guys had a different mindset, right? Where it was like, you treat others like they treat you. You get banged, they bang them back, side wheels hopping, a little different with open wheel cars. what's your rule of thumb, dude? Like, are you if you race me hard, I'm going to race you hard back. If you bump me, I'm bumping you back. I mean, what's your code that you run by now?
Yeah, a little bit of that. If someone doesn't drive me with respect, no promises.
How hard is that for you, Jude? Because I can tell you, you're how old are you?
12.
You're doing this at 12. I was when I
Play
really
with Hot Wheels at 12,
and when I really started racing full time, I was in my early 20s. How hard is it for you when somebody comes up and lays up on you and you're thinking, okay, that's kind of a crappy move? How hard is it to you to gather all that back in and go and continue to hold your demeanor and not go stick them in the fence? Because I know a lot of kids do that.
Man, I used to be really bad about it, but now I just know how to like calm down and recollab.
I love it.
So in terms of let's talk about local stuff for a minute. Obviously, you're at the shootout. What's your local plans for 2025? You got anything lined up? You going to run just a micro tour down here, or what you going to do? You going to run some trucks over at the HEP Oval? What you got planned for 2025?
I think I'm gonna run all the TKM shows in my restrictor car for that schedule, and I think I'm gonna run a little bit of local A class. I might race some of the E-mod and maybe some asphalt.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about E-mods. I'm glad that that came up right there. I kind of talk about those because what I like about those cars is it's a full size open wheel mod, but at the same time they kind of dial those back just a little bit to get you acclimated and make you feel comfortable in the car. And you've done really well in those. Kind of talk about that class and those machines.
They're just so much different. It's like it's two different type of machines. It takes two different kinds of talent.
Nice.
So or do you like the E-mod better because it's bigger, or do you have a better power to weight ratio feeling in your micro?
I like the micros more.
Yeah, probably more comfortable. I would think just more time in that. So Jude, what besides racing? Let's take racing out of here. What do you do for fun? I mean, like if you don't have a race, do you ever have time off from racing? I mean, because you guys, I mean, then you get into karts, you guys are going to be karting. And what do you do when you're not doing this?
I play basketball.
Oh, look at there. Nice.
All right, we're gonna put you on the spot. Who's the best basketball player ever? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James?
Or Larry Bird?
Kobe.
And I'll give him that. As long as you didn't say LeBron. As long as you didn't say LeBron, I'll give you Kobe.
Oh no. Yeah, Kobe. I tell you, man, that's a sucky loss, man. And we're coming up on that. So kind of your thoughts for this, Jude, for the shootout. I mean, you got to contain yourself. You got to figure out, because this is all about, you got to advance. It's not about running maybe one B main or whatever you want to call it. How do you prepare yourself for everything you're about to get into, man? Because there are a lot of people there that want to be in that main event like you do.
I normally watch the replays from last year, and I will. We got a pretty good pill draw, and I'm hoping that I can win my heat race and just one race at a time.
Absolutely.
All right, dude, I see lots of pretty stickers and names on that card. Now's your pop quiz. Since you're not at school, you're on school break. Now's your pop quiz. Who's all your sponsors you got to thank for getting you to the Tulsa Shootout?
Okay, Septic Pick, BSI Racing Development, Branda Farms, Ace Transmission, BLS Construction, Dam Services, WR17 Chassis, Kenny Montgomery, Lost Lagoon, Napa Auto Parts, Melissa Valley Transportation, 317 Awards, My Rodeo Realtor, All Gears Big Red Wrecker, KR Promotions, and Nasty Cookers.
Nice.
That's
Well
good.
done.
That's good. Hey, what's it like working with Lawrence? How much advice does Lawrence give you when you get into one of his little E-mods over there? He's an old guy, but he knows a lot about this stuff that we don't give him enough credit for. What's it like working with Lawrence?
He's a good dude. He's helped me improve a lot in that category of racing.
And Jude, how great is that? Because you're down in that whole. We talk about it all the time on this program, to where it's like not only Lawrence, but I mean all the folks over there. That's a really rich. I mean, Owen. I mean everybody that's down there. Kind of talk about that part, man. You've got years and years of generations of racing that are kind of right there, with your dad. that are just kind of really feeding you information here and really working to make you great.
You know, it helps a lot when you know good people who can help you. So I like it's good.
No doubt.
So, obviously we know you want to win. An honest goal for this weekend, is it just to make the A? Is it to win the A? I mean, when you leave when you're coming back here on Monday, back down to El Campo, don't let Brad fool you. What is your realistic expectation this weekend? I mean, is it there to just win? I mean, what's the goal for you for the whole weekend?
My main goal, but first, just worry about winning the heat race, winning the qualifier, and locking into the show. Then worry about winning.
Nice, Jude.
That's
So
a good attitude to have, dude.
that's right. That's right. Last one for me. Are there any nerves? I mean, like thinking about this and looking around and seeing everything that's going on right there. You seem super composed. I mean, you seem super chill. I mean, is there any part of you that's like antsy? It's like, man, let's get this going. I mean, I'm tired of sitting around. I mean, what's kind of the mindset right now?
Yes, I'm ready to get it done.
I bet you are. I bet you are.
All right, dude. Well, good luck there in the shootout. Say hello to Riley Allen. You guys both have something in common now, that you guys both been on the Revved Up Sports Show. So y'all can shake hands and go say hello. She was just as nervous as you were. So she's up. I don't know. What is she? Is she number 84? I can't remember what number
21.
she is.
So it's
21.
21A. I think she got 21A and 21R. So you two are probably going to be together racing at some point as this goes on.
But anyways, dude, so have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Come back on the show. Let us know how you did. And most importantly, just have fun, because winning's great, and the women that come with it will be great when you get older. But having fun is the main thing right now. That's the one thing you got to remember. Win, lose, or draw, just have a good time.
Maybe.
Yeah. Don't listen to him, Jude. Having fun sucks. Winning is better.
I only like racing when I win.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's why they call him the dude. Good luck, man.
Y'all make sure to follow me on Jude All Guy Racing.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about. All right, dude. We'll check in with you after it's all done. We'll be checking in on Flo as well, my brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care, my man.
Yep.
You bet. There he goes. Jude Allgaier, the Tulsa Shootout. Lucky. God, that'd be so cool to be doing that right now.
Be a lot of fun. Imagine they had that when we were that age.
Yeah, man.
That's why kids are so advanced now, because there's so many more racing opportunities. Obviously, about the only thing you had a chance to race back in the day when we were that young was kind of quarter midgets, really. That's about all there really was. There wasn't, I mean, you didn't even, I remember when, in my generation of racers, when I was like 14, 15, 16, the fact that Mark Kudimski was racing at 16 as the same age that I was, that was insane. I couldn't believe that there was somebody my age racing. Now you come through and it's like, well, you know, it's not uncommon to see a kid 12 years popping in a late model or a pro late model or something, because they have so much more stuff to race with, the micros and the quarter midgets and all the developmental stuff they have now. So it's pretty cool to see. I just kind of wish that we had more of that back in the day, but maybe that's why we have more of it now, because we didn't have it back in the day.
Yeah, man, that was always a thing, you know, for me. It was, I mean, yeah, they did have, I mean, you know, you had quarter midgets and all that. And I mean, looking back, a lot of the folks that have come through the ranks, you know, that were my age, they did. I mean, they started in that, but it was kind of a different mindset back then, to where, you know, me, I mean, we didn't get to do that. I mean, it was one of those things to where it was, if you want to race, you go out there and you build a damn Nova or Chevelle, or, you know, whatever the case is going to be. And that's where it was so different now, to where there's actually like ranks now, to where you can kind of do this and do this a little better. You know, when you start out, I mean, I talk about it all the time, Bobby. When I started racing full time, I mean, the first 6 weeks that I raced at Austin, I wrecked 6 weeks in a row, and it was like destroying shit. And it was like, it finally got to the point where Dad's like, look, if you keep wrecking stuff, we're not going to do this anymore. And that's kind of where the tide shifted a little bit. And I tried to figure my shit out. But it's, to to be able to have the opportunities, and again, this is, we can talk about the kiddos, but I know with Jude's dad, he really does have a great support system right there that do all they can. I mean, look, I mean, full disclosure, when this came up last week, when Riley was on this show, I got a text. It's like, can Jude be on your program live from the shootout on Monday? I'm like, absolutely. And you know, the other thing, here's the other thing that we can talk about. We talked about this last week on the show. You know, the other thing that happened this week that happened last week, Jude's camp, much like Riley Allen's, blew this thing out on social media saying, you need to check out this program because this dude's going to be on. And that is how you do this nowadays.
That's exactly how you do it. I mean, especially the kids at that age know so much more about social media and how it works. Yeah, some of them get the age restrictions and stuff like that, but like in terms of like they have a crew behind them that pushes it out. There was a screenshot of saying, "Hey, I'm going to be on the show today," and he shared it on his Facebook page. That's exactly what it takes, because as we've always said, and some people will remember this, some people don't. Someone is always watching. Usually in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. Someone is always watching. While he's got great resources now, there's potentially, anytime you have a chance to drive for another team that may have a little bit more resources than what you have, stuff like that, you never know who's watching. And it's great to see these young kids like Riley and to see Jude up there doing what they love to do and doing it at such a high level that makes it pretty cool to follow.
Yeah, and that really is the whole thing about it, to where when you get on a stage like that, and I mean, this really is, I mean, if you happen to be organically jumping in here and you're like, what's the Tulsa shootout? This is a huge deal. I mean, because you've got obviously you've got the Chili Bowl Nationals that are coming up in a couple of weeks, but the whole thing is, this is kind of the prelude right here. 1,600 entries in this, 700 drivers, 43 states represented in this, and you got one little dude right there from Texas that is one of those 699. And that tells you the magnitude of this. And now that you got Flow Sports and Racing America and Race On and all the different people that showcase this stuff. I mean, it's like this morning, Bobby. I get up and I'm looking at X and reading all this stuff, and you see that Australian, what's it called? High limit race is on. I'm like, right now? I mean, I knew this because I was just so thrown off with time. But it's like, now you have this, and now people understand the volume of how big these races are. And this shootout, I think the shootout's going to be massive.
The shootout sometimes produces a little more better racing than actually the Chili Bowl does.
Yep.
It definitely sets the stage for it in terms of all that. Because, I mean, basically, Tulsa, Oklahoma, if you're a midget racer, whether it be a micro midget or quarter midget or full-blown, regular USAC midget, you got to be in Tulsa like the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's the place to be. I mean, between the shootout and the actual Chili Bowl, I mean, that's where you got to be. Like we talked about before, there's only 2 races now. Cars Tour kind of messes it up a little bit now, but back before Cars Tour got real popular, there were only 2 races on the NASCAR channel that people talked about outside of NASCAR: Snowball Derby and the Chili Bowl. And there's a reason why. Those are the top 2 races that are definitely the ones that outshine the NASCAR competition to a certain extent.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, having been at the Dome in December, I mean, to see everything that goes on right there. And yes, that is very much a high volume dirt track crowd. But the whole thing is, I mean, I did meet in there, it's probably 15% of the folks that I talked to there, but there were NASCAR fans there. And why were they there? I mean, they were there because they are fans of Larson. They're fans of Alex Bowman. They're fans of Chase Briscoe. They're fans of those guys that carryover has kind of worked itself over. And that's, we talk about NASCAR in 2025 in just a little bit, but I think that's one of those things right there where I think that's so impactful. Yeah. Bowman doesn't need to be racing sprint cars. He's learned the hard way. But the fact is, when you get Kyle Larson that goes down under to Australia and goes out there and did what he did this morning or last night or tomorrow, whatever the hell it is over there, I mean, that tells you right there how big. That's dirt track racing, Bobby. That ain't no damn pavement race over there. That's dirt track racing that's over there, an international sport.
Well, sprint car racing is getting bigger internationally, especially down there. But you got to think about it the way that it ends up being. I mean, it wasn't a supercar race. There were supercar drivers there. SVG flipped his car. Fraser said it's the first time he's flipped when he popped the fence and flipped over a couple of times. So, and I love that because they don't call him a V8 superstar car anymore. They called him NASCAR superstar.
Of course.
Shane Van Gisbergen, right?
Yeah.
All of us Americans are lazy. We just say SVG and we know who we're talking about. But anyway, back on course to a certain extent. That race was able to, I mean, I love the synergy that the American racing market and the Australian racing markets are getting in this crossover. I don't think that Ambrose had the same effect that SVG is having because of the popularity now of the supercars. Because they are, even though they're not a GT4 car, they're very similar to a GT4 car. But they're still their own unique hybrid, but yet they still have a popularity here in the States that they've never had before. Maybe it's because it's Ford and Chevrolet, where you've got the two. I think it was better when they had Ford and Holden, when Holden with the Australian make. Maybe it's just because people are pulled to the pony cars, at least till they bring out the Cadillacs in 2026. So I think that it's and that's got to happen. There's no way that's not happening.
No, there has to be a brand.
Yeah, there's got to be a brand. It's going to end up being Cadillac. If Cadillac's going F1 racing, then Cadillac's going to be the racing brand for GM, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to have a GM brand that's going to be the driving force right there. I mean, what do you do? I mean, there's no other way, and that's how. Just think about this. So when we talk about like kids right there with Jude and with all the kiddos that we've talked about right here, and I think it's a very different when we talk to the racers that we talk to on this live cast, which we're live every damn Monday right here, guys. When you're watching one of these things, unless it's one of these corny things that is put together, corny revved up thing. If it says revved up short or revved up whatever, it ain't live. It's something that's taped. And that usually means that I've had a couple of natty lights and I'm like, let me record something. That's how that happens. But when you have these kids that do this now, when you talk about kiddos and not the new age of youth, not being car people, the fact that NASCAR could be Cadillac. The GM brand could be Cadillac, that you don't have Pontiacs, that you don't have a Chevrolet car because they don't manufacture sedans. I mean, how has this changed so much from back in the day?
It's crazy. I mean, the only one that is willing, that has openly said they're going to die on the V8 sword is Ford. They said they have no problem being the only domestic car company left that produces a fun as hell V8 sports car.
Yeah.
Does the Corvette, unless NASCAR moves to the Ford GT, you're not going to see a Corvette coming to NASCAR.
Right. And it doesn't.
How the hell they allowed the Toyota Supra to be part of the Xfinity series, I'll never know. I mean, money was the driving force behind that, but
sure.
But yeah, but I mean, the fact that they're racing Chevrolets. They're not racing Camaros because they don't exist. They don't have Camaro badges. They all say Chevrolet now. And I think the writing's been on the wall for a little bit because you knew it was coming. I think the Cadillac announcement is a year behind because they wanted to try to do their Formula One budget, because it's not like it's kind of like Ford's deal. I don't think Ford's deal with Red Bull is going to be engine related. Red Bull builds their own engines. It's more of a marketing and a collaborative technology effort between Ford and Red Bull. Same thing with GM and the Cadillac. Cadillac's going to run Ferrari motors when they get into F1 till they get their own engine that's redone for, the new power plants in 2026, wherever they come from. So I think that, and if you think about it, of all the GM platforms, Cadillac, you said Cadillac's the only one with a sedan.
It's crazy.
2-door or 4-door. Cadillac's the only General Motors brand that has a 2-door or 4-door sedan.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that's
not electric.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and that was like I was talking about this weekend, because I was hanging out by myself. I mean, obviously the football was on. I mean, you had some football games that were torturous, so it's like, okay, let me go back and watch some other stuff. And I'm watching, the Oldsmobiles and the Buick Regals, back in the early '80s and all that. And it's like now, and that was the thing with. I mean, say what you want to say about Toyota, because you are going to have another OEM that's going to come in here. And odds are it's going to be Honda. I mean, the pieces are falling in place that it's going to be Honda, not in 2026. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's going to be Honda. But you got to look at what Toyota did. I mean, and I know Toyota's still the bad guy. People, it's like, it's like, oh, Toyota ruined NASCAR. Actually, no, it didn't. Toyota
saved it when it hit
revolutionized
the
NASCAR.
late 2010s. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the way that Toyota did it, I mean, you started in the truck series and they lost their ass and they sucked. And they figured out, and now the TRD. I mean, when they align with Joe Gibbs, it's like, holy smoke, Katie bar the door. It's like, I see a lot, you know, how many years, Bobby, where it's like Toyota in NASCAR, to where it's like, why doesn't Toyota align and have more teams? Why do they want to? The ones they have are the best. I mean, why do you want to do that? And I got to tell you, it's weird shit to me to watch asphalt late model racing and see Toyota across the front of one of those cars when they're coming down the front stretch. I mean, that's just where we are right now, man.
Well, even a USAC midget 4-cylinder Toyota badging on the side with the Keith Kuhn cars and some other ones. But
absolutely, man.
But you know what's crazy though is to think about the fact that when you have the other manufacturers come in, who knows what's going to happen now that Honda and Nissan may be merging. That's something going to open up a total different window. But we all know that the manufacturer's not coming in until they switch motors. There's a reason why they're going to change the platform of the trucks.
Got to have a motor.
Yeah. And I think that you'll see the Xfinity. I think you're going to see the Xfinity series. I don't think you're going to see them go to the SUVs or the crossovers like NASCAR Brazil's got, but that's where they're going to bring in the V6s, your turbocharged V6s. I think that's where they're going to start, and they're eventually going to end up over at NASCAR, over in the Cup Series. So everybody get ready. Everybody just get, here comes the sad story about no more V8. Well, they don't run V12s in Formula One cars anymore, and Formula One's as popular as it ever has been. So, I love the rumble of a V8 just like everybody else, but I mean, the changing of the times, right now, the only vehicle you can buy right now that is a V8 rear wheel powered driving machine is a Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
They don't make a rear wheel drive V8 Camry. Be badass if they did, but they don't.
And I ain't never seen a 2-door Camry. I mean, because that's the other thing. It's like, well, how can the Camry be the car? I mean, you don't have 2-door cars anymore. I mean, because you've got family.
The Mustang, that's it.
Well, the Mustang, yeah, the Mustang, that's it. Yeah, that is the outlier. And the other part of that is, and again, we've kind of gone ahead here talking about NASCAR, but we're going to hit everything here before we're done tonight. But that's the other part of it when it comes to the fuel injection part. I mean, if you have a modern car, odds are whatever's sitting out in your driveway ain't got no damn carburetor. Right?
No.
I mean, it's fuel injected. I mean, that's, say what you want to say about whatever. Yes, I love when we would open the hood and everything's right there and there's a carburetor there and you get in there and get to the intake and you can go in there and pop the valve covers off and run the valves and do all these different things, unplug the plug oil. I mean, but that's not the way they are anymore. And that's just like when you get to the whole thing about the race cars. The race cars aren't race cars anymore. Yeah, they are. They're trying to resemble what is at the showroom. I mean, they're not trying to resemble what's at Bobby Chaffee Automotive over there. It's trying to sell a 1985 Buick Regal. I mean, it's just part of the evolution. It's part of the
love my truck, right? Like I love my truck. I love my Nissan Titans, even though they're discontinuing them. It's the only truck left with a naturally aspirated V8, and I love it. It passes everything but a gas station. But the problem is, they're the last one. It's a dying breed. You have to custom order an F-150 with a V8 now, or get one of the packages that have it. If you don't get like a trimmer or something else like that, you've got to custom order an F-150 with a V8. Same thing with the Chevy. Same thing with the Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Toyota doesn't even make the V8 anymore, even though their V6 twin turbos ate themselves and they got to replace 100,000 of them. But I mean, it's just a changing of the time. You got to get used to it. I mean, change. The problem is you change one little thing, you got this. Oh, NASCAR is going to die.
No.
Sorry, guys. It's been around for 76 years. It ain't going to go anywhere. It is one of the Formula One is its own. To me, Formula One is kind of like the NFL is to sports in the United States. You're not going to come to Formula One, right? You're not going to be, other than in the US and in Australia where NASCAR dominates Formula One. Formula One's its own little entity and is going to get the big ass media rights all the time, just like the NFL. But the problem is that you got to come through and you have that market where it's like, oh, they're going to change. It's like it's still going to last. It's still going to be there. For every kid that disappears for every old man that disappears because they're saying it's not going to be a V8, there's probably hopefully going to be one kid or young dude that's going to be excited because there's a Honda racing in NASCAR now, and they got something that resembles what they've been driving for 25 years.
Absolutely. And the whole thing is with that argument about how with the NASCAR is going to evolve itself out and all these different things, and NASCAR's changed so much that it sucks and it's horrible and this, that, and the other. Look, I can sit here and tell you, because I'm old enough to tell you this, is that short track racing has changed just like NASCAR has. I mean, it really has. I mean, the cars all look alike. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care if it's dirt or asphalt. I mean, I'll start with asphalt. I'm going to pick on asphalt first. Pro late models, super late models, they look alike. I mean, you can tell the difference. And when they come rumbling by and hit the chip, I hate that shit. But that's what they do. I mean, back in the old days of watching super late models, or the original super late models, there was no chip. That was just horsepower, balls to the wall, pucker the seat, and get to the other end of the straightaway. And those days are gone. And those supers and the pros, they all look alike. The only thing that resembles something different is an outlaw or a UAR sportsman. I mean, that's the only thing that looks different. And that's a whole different argument. There is no stock stuff anymore. I'll pull this up again because you got the race that's going to be going on at Dillon coming up this weekend. And I think that's what's so cool about this is there's a little bit of a variation right there of what stock car racing is supposed to on pavement. I'll refrain from using the term I used earlier. But I mean, that right there, that's what you're longing for right there, in my opinion, if you want asphalt racing. It's few and far between. It is very few and far between, Bobby. And we sure as hell ain't got it around here. But, sportsmen and pure stocks and the different things that you see along the Gulf Coast, that's the closest thing that you're going to find. But this right here, it's gone. I mean, it's gone. It's not very often that you're going to see that stuff anymore.
Well, but even to me, in my opinion, those street stocks, the Mid-Atlantic street stocks and the Upper Midwest CRA All-Star street stocks, I mean, there's nothing street stock about those but the bodies.
Yeah.
You don't go to junkyard and buy hubs and shit for those cars. You
Right.
You can't find anything at a salvage yard for those.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically, yes, it's a metric chassis, but I bet if you took the metric chassis apart, took the body off of it, set it next to a late model, they probably look pretty damn similar.
Mm-hmm.
Other than maybe the clips looking a little different, but
Well,
I mean, they're going to be a lot of the same ideas. Like they said, if you can't afford to run a super, you want to run it in a pro. You can't afford to run the pro, you want to run it in the outlaw. Can't afford the outlaw, want to run it in the super street stock. And you want to run it in the pure, the sportsman, it's a trickle down effect the whole time. That's why racing gets really damn expensive.
And I totally get the point when it comes to like looking at those cars that we're looking at. I mean, to be able to go to 5-star or whoever it is and buy that 81 Camaro body and buy that Monte Carlo body, that is a cost saving thing because you can't go to the junkyard and get it anymore. I mean, for one thing, try to find a junkyard. You ain't gonna find it. It's not environmentally friendly. I mean, you can't store a bunch of wrecked shit around here like you could back in the day. But I mean, for that point right there, I mean, I remember when it got to the point for us when they started allowing the upper and lower control arms and ball joints and all the different things that were stock appearing or stock type, it was very much a cost saving thing that was really good for stock car racing. I mean, on pavement. Again, this is just pavement what I'm talking about, because it really was. I mean, those upper control arms and those lowers and all that shit, I mean, as much as you bend them, they got really hard to find. But this is where it came back to, again, I'm going to sit here and start harping on the shocks and all that. It's like when you get away from the stock shocks and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that you're spending money. And that's kind of what's really hurt that. Those cars look great. But I will say they really do seem to have a good handle on that there in that division. But again, this is where we go back to the outlaw versus UARE sportsman thing that we've talked to Cody Brusso on here, where Ricky's gone in and he's really tried to curtail that into making that sportsman thing a little bit more conducive for the racer. And it seems to be working where they run them. But it's always that whole thing where it's like, man, I want to go faster. But I don't want to spend money, but yet I'm going to spend money. That's kind of that whole argument there.
It really is. mean, that's the way that the trickle down effects work. I mean,
all the time.
if you think about the way that's the whole the racers are their own worst enemy, right? It's like when they somebody talk about getting adjustable shocks in a factory stock. Nope, you don't do that because you're already spending money on the shocks you got that you're building. I mean, I understand it makes sense to have adjustable shocks, you know, where you can say you have one adjustable shock instead of 16 regular shocks that you got.
Yeah.
But, you know, just pretty soon you're going to have 16 adjustable shocks. It's just the way that it works. That's the economics of racing. But, you know, you talk about those parts that you buy in a catalog now being more cost effective and stuff like that. They're cost effective till they get stamped by a sanctioning body.
That's the whole thing. And it's like, why are you doing that? We're trying to cut down the cost of racing. And you mentioned factory stocks. I mean, I saw kind of looking towards 2025 and with NASCAR, we kind of come back around to that about what's going to happen with the Cup Series. It's a big year in Cup. I mean, the fact that they're going to Mexico to me is just a really big thing. I mean, because boom, there you go. You're stretching out, going outside of the United States. But I mean, I saw that Boot Hill, I mean, right here, kind of in our neck of the woods. I mean, close enough to throw a rock and hit it. You know, we'll say that Boot Hill.
The rocket launcher.
The factory stock spring nationals that are coming up in May. I mean, you want to talk about spending money. I mean, I think it's $30,000 there that's going to be on the line there, dude. That is going to be massive. That's going to be huge when it comes to factory stock racing. And we're seeing how that thing's blowing up. And, you know, we talk about factory stocks all the time, and we've talked to drivers on this program time after time. All the archives at RevvedUpSportsShow.com and on YouTube is to where it's like, you know, these chassis, you know, I'm going to give me a chassis and spend $25,000. What? Come on, man. Come on. Get a stock car. IMCA stock car. Whatever. Here we go. Down another rabbit hole.
It is. It's the endless rabbit hole. But I mean, you know, guys are going to do it, and I think what you're going to see for 30,000 to win, you're going to see some of the bigger name modified and late model guys. You know, your RTJs and some of those.
Yeah,
but you're going to see some of them inside some of these factory stocks. I mean, you know, for them, a $20,000 factory stock to race for $30,000 win makes sense. They're spending $50,000, $50,000 to $75,000 on a super late model to run for $100,000 to $50,000.
Yeah. You know, a guy caught me in the pits a while back, and he's like, "Hey, I watch your program all the time, and I see you bitching and complaining about the factory stocks." And this was, look, man, this was a very accomplished, modified racer, and he's like, "Do you think that? Why would I not have one of those kind of cars and spend that kind of money to go win that kind of money? Because I sure shit ain't gonna do it in the modified. Dude humbled me pretty good."
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him for doing that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, and I've never said that. I mean, my whole thing has always been, it kind of sucks for the modifieds, you know, but the modifieds are turning around, it seems like.
$10,000 to win at I-37 Speedway 30 days from today.
That is coming
January 30th to February 1st.
That is coming up. And that's the STEM series right here in the Texas area that is now going to be a part of on-demand shirts. You see it right there. That is the official apparel provider of the Revved Up Sports Show and the entities that we have within this program, and many of the drivers that consume this, and that there are folks that are wearing on-demand merchandise all the time. And I think that this is a really big move. And James Cole is going to join us here at some point, you know, probably late January, maybe into February, as they continue to be putting pieces together. Man, I think this is a really huge move for the South Texas IMCA Modified Series, to where when you partner up and you put these two things together, you've got a series that's growing. You've got a business that is growing. You put these two together, and I think that they're about to do something pretty badass in 25.
Yeah, we haven't been privy to the schedule. I know a couple of the scheduled dates, just that I know they're working on it at certain racetracks that we're affiliated with, or that I'm affiliated with. So I know that they're working on. Also, big news coming up at Texana, coming up on the 1st. I got inside information on it. We may touch on it before we turn off the show. But definitely some big, really good, interesting information coming up at Texana for the 2025 season they got down there, which will include a couple of Stems races. I don't know exactly how many, but I know they are indeed working with James Cole and KR to try to get some Stems races there at Texana Raceway Park there in 2025. But yeah, KR's doing good things, dude. He's got that big racing show coming up this weekend. That's gonna be fun. I'll be up in the Dallas region. I'm just not gonna be far enough over to be able to go see him and say hello, because I'm going up there for the Texas State Bowl game. But I won't be able to make it all the way over to where he's going to be at, that far over in the Metroplex. So I wish him the best of luck. But that's gonna be a fun show. That's a pretty good deal that he puts on every year.
That really is, and there it is right there, the Texas High Performance Racing Auction that's coming up, and it's one of a few. There's going to be in the Oklahoma area, in the first one, I think it's the first one that happens right here in Texas that Bobby's talking about. That's over in Bonham, like Buck Bonham from Honeysuckle Rose. Willie Nelson played that back in 1980 with Diane Cannon. There you go. There's your old tidbit movie. But check it out right there, raceshow.net/Texas. And that really is, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing right there. As you can see right there, the admission is, I mean, super cheap to get in there. I was actually thinking about, if I could get some booth space, I was actually thinking about it. I mean, I don't have a budget to be able to go do this. I was thinking about trying to drive up there and maybe trying to give some swag away for the company that I work for. But I mean, that's a really cool thing right there. And I think that with everything that's happening there with Stims, when you get those pieces in place, I think because you have to have that. I mean, because you got to be in front of people. You have to keep. I mean, it's like that's the one thing that kind of, I don't want to say it irritates me, because I totally get it, but it's like during the off season, you see it with short track racing more here, not for our friends that are, you know, up north and different places. It's like, it gets really quiet. And you know what happens when you get really, really quiet? You go out of sight, you go out of mind. It's like, you got to keep reminding people, yeah, we're not racing right now, but we start in March, or we start in February, or we have this, or go to the website and check this out. We've got new caps, whatever, because you got to stay in front of people. Because if you give them just a little bit of a break from you, they're going to forget about you. That, friends, answers the question earlier about why this show doesn't take breaks. Because if we take a break, you ain't going to fucking come back and watch it when we're off for 2 months.
Probably not.
Not I hope. I mean, I would hope that you would, but gotta stay in front of everybody.
Hey, you got to ride to the auction.
Let's take a look right here. On the way to the auction. Actually, I can drive up there. I mean, I've got a vehicle. I can drive over. I would actually need to drive my vehicle if I was going to do it. But I really think that's something great. Look, we're just coming off of PRI. And I've talked to so many people in the industry where it's like, you're not going to believe what I heard at PRI that I can't talk about right now, because I heard it on the down low. It's something that's good. It's things that are going to really magnify and help our industry. And these are the kind of events where that stuff happens. And I think what Kevin's doing here, I mean, that's what we need around here. We need a lot more of that.
No, I mean, what Kevin's doing is, I mean, it's going to tie in. I'm sure you'll see some Stims merch up there, potentially, hopefully, there at his trade show. Also, you know, the keyword in Stim, South Texas IMCA Modified Series, I have a feeling that they will be racing north of the Brazos at least once or twice there in 2025. Nothing official, not breaking any news, just have this gut feeling that some of these other tracks that don't race IMCA Modifieds on a weekly basis or a semi-annual basis will be running Stims cars. I mean, I think we talked about it last year. I think a show at Hot would be, you know, if they ran one of those Memorial Day shows at Hot with Stims, that'd be badass on a Saturday night instead of a Friday night, or a doubleheader, run Friday night, run Saturday night with Stims there at Heart of Texas. That'd be a hell of a show. That'd be one to go to.
Well, I've always thought right there, because for the longest time, I mean, Heart of Texas was the one that was really trying to get the, you know, they were paying $1,000 to win a week, you know, for the modifieds, and they would bring them in every week, or have them on the card every week, I guess I should say, but it just never worked out. And then when they brought in Tom's, you know, when you had the Touring Outlaw Modified Series, that was something that worked out really well to where the car count that was usually 6, Tom's would come in and it would double it, you know, 15 to 16. And I don't know what the status of all that is to where, if you're going to get into a situation to where the Stims, and I don't know if we're going to get into a muddy situation there to where they're going to be stepping on each other's toes, because that's what happens a lot of times. And I hope that's not the case, because I do think with stems, and I think kind of with the revamping right here. And look, Jacob Horch is one of these guys where we can talk about, look at 2024 as we kind of bookend the year right here. That's a dude that put his ass on the line right there. He and his family. He put racing on the back burner. He was still racing, but I mean, this dude went out there and took a flyer to do this. And why did that series work? They were, fair for the most part. I know that you still had people bitching about whatever, but you know how that goes. Everybody's going to bitch about something. But this dude put his ass on the line right there, kind of put racing on the secondary back burner. He and his dad went out there and built a series, and now it's growing. And that's sometimes the way it has to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good thing. But hey, dude, you got that text I sent you the other day, right? Yes, 9.
Working on it right now.
Okay, good. I'll stall.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that the when you start running a series is not easy. I remember when Cody and I used to do it with the Tom's cars, the limited modifieds on asphalt. It's a lot of work. I mean, he put in more work and money than I did, but it's a hell of a lot of work. You remember running with the dwarf cars, trying to be, working on dates and all that stuff. So, that's when people want you, that's one thing. Coming up with the money to pay you is something totally different. That's a completely different ring on the ladder is how you come up with a racetrack to pay for purses, and you pay for money. So that becomes a challenge in its own right. So yeah, I mean, everybody likes to see sprint cars at a racetrack. Sure they do. But you know how much a sprint car race costs a racetrack to put on? Especially when your sprint car series are limited and you only have a couple of options and they're pretty much eligible, or they're pretty much able to charge whatever they want. Yeah. No disrespect to the sprint car series at all. It's just business, supply and demand. That's what they teach you. Rule number 1 in business school: supply and demand.
Yeah.
That's, when you only have limited options, sometimes your cost goes up.
They've got the leverage. I mean, because like we've talked about, you put sprint cars on that marquee, and I will say that I have noticed a little later or more recent now is, I mean, even sprint car racing's getting a little saturated, to be honest with you. I mean, you've got obviously you got the 410s, the 360s. I mean, you've got high limits, World of Outlaws. You got all of that. I think that's one of those things to where, like, when we talk about super late models on pavement, it's like, leave that to them. Don't have and I don't mean this in a bad way, don't have a knockoff series. It's like, and I'm not talking about UARA, because you got ASA, UARA, you got the ACT Tour. Those are like the staples on pavement. But don't go in there and try to do different things. And the pro late models are not a knockoff series of super late models. They are pro late models, and they are clearly that. But it's like sprint cars now, it's like, I don't think it carries quite the same weight. It seems like when we used to talk about sprint cars are in town. Yeah, but which ones are they? Because I think people are more educated now to where it's like, well, it's not the insert sprint cars. And they're like, I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
Your hardcore sprint car fans care about the 305s. It's your average fan that the racetrack is trying to get are the ones that don't care and don't need to know and don't know anything about the number associated with the engine.
Yep. And that's a thing, because I think people are starting to figure out the differences in the sound and the whatever. And that's okay. I mean, a sprint car show is a sprint car show. I mean, and the whole thing is, I think, where even if it's not insert the series, the car count. I mean, if you've got 24 and you've got that right there, I mean, that's going to carry a lot of weight with a sprint car show. But when you start seeing those fields dwindle, kind of gets back to the modified thing, to where it's like when you've got 6 modifieds, yeah, the modifieds are cool, but shit, that's it. Yeah. All right, Bobby, I've got yours right here. I'll let you speak to this, because you are affiliated with this track. I'm not affiliated with any tracks, so I'll kind of let you go to this, because this was breaking news that you sent to me.
Yeah, breaking news as of last night. So we will end up having some extra incentive to go racing there at Texana Raceway Park coming up in 2025. The purses will be posted on New Year's Day, or they're very close to New Year's Day, the full purse, with a couple of unique superstitions. I won't say what they are. Well, I guess it's already up there, so never mind. I guess I could say what it is. If there are more, basically the class limit is going to be determined by any class with 14 cars or less will have the second place pay posted, right? Now, thanks to the work of some sponsors and some other stuff, any class with 18 cars or above will now any class, any of the regular weekend classes, your hobby stocks, factory stocks, e-mods, and limited sport mods, 18 or more cars, they'll have $1,000 to win for the purse if there's 18 or more cars. I think that that's a good way to start out the season. I think that you'll see the E-mods take care of that, and you're almost going to be close to that in the factory stocks, depending on how many factory stocks show up on a given night. So that's really good for the racers. So Texana openly admitted, while I am not part of the direct management team, I am in the know down there because of my affiliation with them over the last 4 or 5 years. So I try to promote what I call my home track. The best that I can. So that's some cool deals with Cord and Winding, those guys working down there for 2025.
That's right. And that's really impressive right there, being able to put that together and getting that out. I mean, because I think so much of this is, like when we talk about, with HMP, for example, with Houston, with the asphalt track, the fact that those dates, Owen, got those dates out and they got them out, or he got them out early, to where it's like, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's what you can anticipate. Here's what you're going to have. And I think that right there, and a lot of tracks are doing it. I mean, Marianne and Cotton Bowl, Marianne and H, I mean, they've had their schedule out and they're really good at doing that. And the other part of that is, I think, to where it comes down to be really beneficial for the drivers is like that right there with that racetrack. What you can look at is once the other schedules come out, you can kind of factor in, okay, this is what because it is. I mean, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options. And I think what tracks have to do, like right there, what TRP is doing, Bobby, is that you're kind of trying to single yourself out to where it's like, let me try to win some of that business, because it is. I mean, it's like going to Walmart and Target and General Dollar and all these different places, to where there are so many different places that you can go. You do something like that and you start penciling in dates to where it's like, okay, this weekend I want to be at Texana. And I like what they're doing right there. I mean, you really have to do that because there's supply and demand, Bobby. You said it. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of supply and demand when it comes to racetracks down in South Texas and choices to race. I think what you're going to probably try to see now is you're not going to see, I don't think you'll see as many guys traveling with as good as some of the local purses are going to be, right? If you got a competitive purse where you are, you have no reason to want to travel. That's why a lot of the guys and gals that race at Cotton Bowl, they don't travel a lot. Not a knock on them. They don't have to. They've got a great ecosystem there with Marianne and H over there at Cotton Bowl. So, why waste the money traveling when you don't have to? If you've got everything you're looking for in your own backyard, I mean, no bad bones to you. Just enjoy what you got.
Yeah, and that's where right now, I think on the dirt side here in Texas, to where when you're looking up north and even into Louisiana with all the different racetracks over there, you've got all of those options right there. And it doesn't matter what flavor of ice cream that you want, whether it's a IMCA stock car, a sport mod, all the different variations of modifieds. Now with IMCA modifieds and E-mods and B-mods and Yo Mama mods. I mean, you name a mod and they got it. So all of these tracks up north, they have that and they have all of that in place. And then you mentioned Waco right there, but now you look down south and between, whether it be the Race Ranch or 37 or CBS or Texana, I mean, there's a lot of options right there. And hopefully that's going to be something where, and kind of looking forward to 2025. This is where I'm going to be curious to see to where, how does all of this shake out? I mean, because it really is to me right now, where you look at this and like bingo, when you go to the bingo and you got all the balls that are sitting there and then they pop up and, B6 or whatever the case is. I think that's what drivers are going to be doing and teams are going to be doing in 2025 more than before, to where it's like that ball is going to pop up and it's like, okay, this week I'm going to Marianne's. This week I'm going to Ray's. This week I'm going to Owens. And I think that's good. At the same time, I don't think it's good, but I just think that dirt track racing is healthy across our state, and it's getting competitive, man. It's getting real damn competitive.
Well, let's hope it doesn't get too competitive where it's going to be cutthroat. That's not what we want to see. You want to see the tracks working together the best they can. You know, I mean, you know, as we said, there's always that scheduling conflict. You're going to end up stepping on somebody's toes and scheduling over somebody anyway, because of the fact there's only so many dates, right? And the tracks are within a couple hour drive of each other, so you got to be mindful of that, how you set your schedule up. So,
yeah,
I mean, I've seen the schedule. You and I both have it written down on different kind of spreadsheets. Maybe not so much you this year, but for me, I've got all the dates for all the different tracks, and there are already some crossover dates where they're going to run head to head. So,
yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. So we'll see how that works out. Pavement racing in 2025. Obviously, you've got the dates with Houston. You can find those at H&P Oval Track on Facebook is where you can find those. I think you know, we were talking to Terry, and I went back and re-listened to that. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like a broken record, it seems like, to where it's like, okay, there's a pivotal year in Texas pavement racing, and pivotal in that it's happening again. And hopefully you're going to get some momentum that's going to build itself over. And kind of going back to with the race that's happening at Dillon this weekend at Dillon Motor Speedway. Dillon is doing something to where they're going to bring the dirt late models over and run them on pavement, which they've done. And apparently, from everything that I've seen, you know, the entry list is massive. You know, it's going to be a big deal. I think what needs to happen here in Texas, because obviously Texas not at the status of one of those tracks in the Carolinas, but it's like, man, to grow the trucks and to grow the modifieds, because that's one of the things that I'm really. I've talked to a lot of folks when it comes to asphalt racing, and they're like, well, UARA and ASA and Southern Super Series, whatever. I really want to focus in and see what happens to trucks, to modifieds, to those, because those are the classes that, yeah, Bubba Pollard and Casey Roderick and all these guys. Yeah, man. I mean, that's bread and butter. I mean, Rattler, All-American 400, you know, these are great races. Winchester, these are great races. But, man, what about trucks and modifieds and some type of stock class, man? That's what I'd love to see a resurgence, especially here in Texas, of trucks and modifieds, because you got to have those classes. You got to have those classes.
well, I think the problem is, though, is it's the cycle of it all. Where a lot of people are just either skipping the trucks, skipping the modifieds, and going straight from a street stock to, you know, or a wing sprint car, mini sprint, whatever it is, going straight into a pro late model, going into, you know, now we'll leave out the discussion about the money portion of it and the age of some of those drivers. But that's what you're seeing, is a lot of guys and gals skipping that class because they don't think it's worth it. Where in reality, it can be very beneficial to learn in a truck and an outlaw and a modified. Now you've seen guys like, we've got friends that are, you know, that have been in a certain series for a while, and now they've decided they want to try something else, but they're still invested in the local race program. Whether they're going from their truck to a modified, stuff like that, that's fine. You're still invested in the local racing ecosystem. But when you're trying to invest, you know, there are some people that we know that don't want to race locally, want to race nationally.
Yeah.
But then bitch when their stuff breaks on a national scale without testing it at a local level first.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things to where, do you want to spend all that money and go, you know, be on an entry list, you know, somewhere else? Or do you want to compete a little bit closer to home and be competitive? You know, and that's a question that comes back to, and is that ego? Is that financially? I mean, the financial part is, because it's one thing to race at home, and this isn't Texas, this is wherever, to race at home and be competitive versus going to the snowball derby and being one of those bingo balls that we're talking about, one of many, and that's where you got to look at that part. And the other thing that I think that is going to be on the pavement side this year, that I think that look, Ricky Brooks is our friend, Tim Bryant is our friend, all of these people are our friends. We have relationships with them, but I think that Ricky Brooks and UARA and that group right there they really went in this year, and they are kicking that whole concept of, you don't have to be there all damn week. You don't have to be there for 3 days. I mean, look at the Bigley 128. You went in there, they put a set a tire limit. I mean, and it was much more financially acceptable for the drivers, and they had a great turnout and they had a great race. It's a shorter race. It's a very compact day. And I think that it's super important for pavement, for these big late model shows, pro, sportsman, outlaw. I don't give a damn what you have. Condense that thing down and make it and dirt. I mean, I know the dirt people are going to say that's what we do because we don't have to be at the track till 4. Bullshit. You're there at 11 a.m. just like the pavement people. You're a little bit smarter about it. But it really seems like UARA has done a really good job of crushing the theory and really proving that you can do these big pavement shows in a much more manageable timetable.
Well, also think about it. If you just want to be on an entry list, go for it. But I'd much rather be on an entry list and be known as the local guy that's a badass to come to see what they're going to do on a national schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's one thing to just be on an entry list to have your name. Oh, that's so-and-so from so-and-so. But versus, oh, damn, that's that guy from XYZ Speedway that's kind of fast over there. Wonder what he's going to do here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the way it used to be. That's kind of the way it needs to get back to being. In the age of social media, I mean, tweet your own self. But I mean, just because you want to see your name in a tweet, being on a pre-entry list don't mean shit. Half the guys on the pre-entry list don't even show up.
Yeah, and it's a hell of a lot worse when you're on a tweet and it's like did not make the field and you're on that one, or crashed as the leaders were coming by and your name's on there. I mean, kind of work on the home stuff. And this, I mean, for Texas, for Houston, I really do, and I think that this is very much based with modifieds and trucks because Houston. Look, I mean, there's no doubt about it. The legacies and the legends and eco stocks and all that, man, they are great. I mean, they are great, and they're blowing the doors off of that place because you got a really good car count and the fans love it. But when it all comes down to it, I mean, from the days when you were there, Bobby, what do they want to see? They want to see the modifieds. They want to see trucks, pro late models. You're not going to have that there, but that's the stuff that they want to come out for because. And again, I think that casual race fans will relate a little bit better to those classes, but it's going to be a work in progress, man, because it takes a lot of money to field. It takes a lot of money to field an uncompetitive truck or modified. So that's where it gets really hard.
Mm-hmm. So. That's the problem. It takes a lot of money to do it. But I think though, is that what you're going to see with the modifieds? I think they have everything there. There's no excuse for it now.
Mm-hmm.
There really isn't. Now, do I have it? Everybody's like, well, where's your modified? I don't want a modified. I don't want a truck.
Yeah.
I don't want a race car. If I get anything, it'd be a Crown stock, but that's another discussion for another show. But like, the guys that have them, I guess would be the better way to phrase this. The guys and gals that have them have bitched about not having this XYZ. Now they got it. They've had it. You got solid purses, solid schedules, stuff like that. There's really no excuse to not race what you got. You don't want to race it, sell that sumbitch.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where this gets back to that, what we were just talking about. It's like, I mean, race here. I mean, your chances are better. You want to go try to make a field of 24 with 40 cars, or do you want to come over here where you're guaranteed to race and probably going to make a little bit of money? I mean, you're not going to break even at either place. But it's, I mean, tires, I mean, all of that. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it really is a lot. And that's that expense right there. I know a lot of folks get chased out of racing because of expense. That expense has always been there. It's just that the expense has changed, just like everything has changed. I mean, everything costs more. I mean, and that's just, it's just the way it is. And it doesn't matter if it's dirt or pavement. It just seems like dirt, it just doesn't matter that much to them anymore, right? I mean, it's like we can do asphalt. It's like, well, it's too expensive. Well, dirt is too, but they don't bitch about it. It's like they just keep doing it. They just keep doing it, and there's more places to do it here. There's more places to do it here, but this is where I'm so excited that now that we are in different markets right now, because I talk to people and it's like, you guys talk about a lack of pavement racing. I'm in Minnesota, you name the state, you name the city. We don't know what dirt track racing is because we don't have that. We are all pavement. So, I mean, Wisconsin, look at them, all pavement. There's dirt, but not much.
They race, multi nights a week.
Yeah, not much. So it's Texas just happens to be in a spot where, it's very dirt heavy, and that's the way it's going to be. Just
And it was opposite 25 years ago.
absolutely. Absolutely, man. I found some other stuff where I was watching some dirt track racing. I forget where it was from, in the early 2000s. And that was the heyday of pavement. And you had you had the modified, what was it? You had modifieds. You didn't have any sport mods. There was no such thing as a sport mod. You had modifieds, and then you had some kind of bomber. That's all they had. And
A modified, a stock car, a bomber, and maybe a 4-cylinder class. That's all they had.
they didn't have that back then. The one I was watching, there was no 4-cylinder. It was a bomber thing. The modifieds, and yeah, it's definitely changed, but that's kind of the way that works. Friends, we remind you as we go on right here, and thank you all for being a part of our 2024 closeout, 2025 preview. Right behind me, audiovisual consultations. If you want that home speedway system that I talk about, this place is jammed with screens. When I do this show, I've just got the one over there. I've got Monday Night Football going on over there. I've got sound systems in here. I got video games downstairs. My man Tom McKay will set you up. 512-255-8678. If you are outside of Texas, avconsultations.com. You can call Tom if you're in a different place. He will when it says consultations, they will help you with what you want to do. Tom came into this studio, looked around, didn't laugh at the way that I had it wired, but they came in and radically changed this place, and they can do that for you. With Daytona coming up, you've got college football, NBA, all of that, man. This is the ultimate place to get that set up. And, of course, On Demand Shirts in San Antonio, our man James Cole, who we keep talking about with Stems. On Demand Shirts is one of those companies, Bobby, that I think when we go into 2025, we talk about the involvement there that they have now with Stems. But On Demand Shirts in 2024 made some huge strides. They were a part of Jake Tim Racing. And I got to tell you that when I was at the Dome, I come rolling up, and Jake Tim's got his, I think he had a 20x40 setup over there. And there's this on-demand shirt stuff everywhere. And it's on demand. If you're not familiar with on-demand shirts, I think you might ought to get familiar with them, because they're about to be really big, and they can hook you up with really cool stuff.
No, they can. I got to work with James to get my stuff done with my new logo for my new racing gear. So it'll be looking forward to a lot of stuff for 2025, working with James and the folks down there at On Demand Shirts.
That's right. If you're on the YouTube feed, or I think the Facebook feed has it as well. If you're looking for Revved Up gear, it is right there. There's a link, takes you right to the online store right there, where you can be a part of that. All right, Bobby, as we get ready to close this thing out, I do want to kind of go down that national road a little bit. I hope we don't lose people, because I don't think we're going to lose this on Twitter, because I think there's a lot of folks that are dialed into IndyCar. And I saw something a little bit earlier in the week to where for that finale in IndyCar, what was that? A couple of months ago, 483 viewers for that finale on network TV. Lowest ever viewership that an IndyCar finale has ever had on network television. That was NBC, I think it was. They go over to Fox. Fox is already kind of pushing that Indy 500 thing. Man, I really want IndyCar to have a good season. I'm hoping that Fox influence is something that's maybe going to make IndyCar something a little more sustainable, because damn it, those are great drivers. The racing is great. I want IndyCar to finally get in front of people so they can appreciate this thing a little bit better.
Yeah, but nobody knows who they are.
I know, right?
That's the problem.
I know.
We do, because we follow it.
I know. That's the shitty part, to where it's like when you go and you look at it, it's like, man, this is a great slate of drivers, but nobody knows who Alex Palou is. And the dude has dominated a very loaded roster of IndyCar drivers. And people tune in for the Indy 500, and that's about it, just because it's the Indy 500. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's the race that dominates the ratings, because that's the race that everybody knows.
Yeah. So that's something that I really hope is going to set IndyCar at a different level. I hope that Fox is really going to. Fox has a season, so that season is a little more compact for IndyCar. But at the same time, I think that's a little bit detrimental, because like we talk about, it's kind of stretched out. I think the lack of ovals is something maybe with fresh eyeballs on this, maybe this is something that if IndyCar could get back on ovals a little bit more in 2026. I happen to think that the racetrack right here on I-35 would be great for them to race at. And I mean, Texas Motor Speedway, I think that could be a massive race, but that's not the place to do that. I guess.
Not at least not till 2026 anyway.
And not Coda. Over on the NASCAR side, I think with the Cup Series, I think you fire off and they're going to the Bowman Gray, and I don't know how that's going to be greeted. I think I like that they're doing that. When NASCAR announced that they were taking that lease or taking whatever, I think the writing was on the wall to what was going to happen. But I think no matter what happens right there, it's not going to be greeted the way that they're hoping, because it's going to be like, the Cup Series ruined Bowman Gray because they went over there and they didn't produce that horse shit that always happens over there. You didn't have all of that going on. They went and they changed the track and they did all these different things. I just think that as cool as it's going to be just like the Clash at the Coliseum, just in a different place.
Well, I mean, you're going to get that was a cool race, or that was a fun race, but that's what you're going to get out of it. My interesting thing is that already thinking springboard to 2026 and wondering what they're going to do with the Chicago street race. NASCAR is like a 3 and done kind of thing. So this will be the 3rd year for the Chicago street race. Where are they going to take that street race next? They're going to take it LA, go take it to Seattle. There's a lot of places they could take it. They tried to take it to Long Beach, but that didn't work out.
And now, with Penske, with everything that's happening there, I mean, could that be something to where that becomes a double header? I mean, I've heard that conversation as well, to where maybe you have a Cup and IndyCar double header, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I think the fact that NASCAR and I know a lot of folks have frowned on this, where it's like NASCAR's going to Mexico, NASCAR's doing this, and they're abandoning us. We haven't been the most supportive. They're finding markets that want them. Max Calles has told Bobby, you and I, face to face, drunk and not drunk, that NASCAR type racing in Mexico is massive. NASCAR type racing in Brazil is massive. They're going where they're wanted. I don't know what the American people or what the American fans are going to think about this race at Autodromo Rodriguez. But I can tell you one damn thing. It's going to be a hit over there. I don't care if it rains over there.
That's going to be packed.
Dude, they're going to pack. They're going to pack that place. They're going to show up and they're going to treat those guys like chariot drivers, because that's what they are over there. And I think that's going to be the biggest race of the year. I really do. I think it's going to be massive.
Outside of your tent poles, that probably should be it's going to have the most focus of any race of the year.
Yeah. And I think
that's an Amazon. That problem with that race though, is not a network TV race.
No.
It's an Amazon race.
I know. That's the messed up part. But I can tell you, the international media, the Mexican media that's on that's going to be on the case for that is going to be, holy smoke. I mean, this is going to be, I mean, I know Daytona's huge and Daytona is what it is, but I really think that this is on the international front. And again, the folks are going to say that the NASCAR doesn't need to worry about international. Well, I mean, yeah, they do, because it's lacking here in the States.
I mean, it is to a certain extent. Like I said, they're going to go where they're wanted. Are they going to go where there's potential?
Yeah.
Status quo doesn't make you grow. Jumping out of the box a little bit makes you grow. So I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, if you'd have told somebody 5 years ago, not even 10, 15 years ago, where everybody says it's the heyday of the 80s, if you'd have told somebody that there would be Cup racing inside the LA Memorial Coliseum, there would be street racing in Chicago, they would be going to Mexico. Now, granted, the Xfinity Series ran a couple of really successful races in Mexico City, so that might not have been as big as of a shock. Now, if you'd have told them they're dropping Richmond to go to Mexico, that'd have been a shock. Well, but if you told people those things, they'd have told you were crazy. And that was just 5 years ago. So they're telling how much the sport's going to change in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the beginning. I mean, Canada sitting there waiting. I mean, Canada's like salivating for this.
Montreal wants a race so bad. I think it's just too. You just can't get there. Take them to Toronto. Take them to Ron Fellow's place.
Yeah, absolutely.
The truck races there were pretty good. A Canadian Tire Motorsports Park and Mosport.
And it's like, how can you drop Richmond to go to Mexico? Well, the people aren't going to Richmond. I mean, it's like the folks that wanna. It's like the folks with the charter thing, where the folks that are pissed off, that whatever the ruling is going to be with this, but when the ruling comes out that maybe NASCAR kind of is a monarchy, the judge said, and they're sitting here trying to figure this out, and there's injunctions. You got people defending NASCAR that didn't give a shit about it before this came up. And it's like, okay, pick your poison. I mean, how can they leave Richmond? Well, there ain't nobody. The stands are empty. The stands are empty. They're going to go where it's like a relationship. You're going to go where you're wanted, right? And that's what they're doing. Mexico wants them. They've wanted them for 15 years, and they're getting them at the best place that they can do it there at Autodromo. It's going to be pretty exciting.
I don't know. The only thing that to me the biggest scheduling snafu in 2025 is taking the Xfinity race and truck races away from Darlington, or taking the Xfinity race from Darlington on Labor Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Placed it with a truck race, that's close, but you're taking the Xfinity races to Portland on Labor Day weekend. That to me, I get that you're bringing the trucks and the Xfinity cars back to Rockingham to kind of fill that void in that general region, but damn. We need to go to that Rockingham race because that's we have a place for us to stay free of charge.
But how's that going to work? I mean, here's another test. Rockingham again. You're going to try it again, and that's where. And I think I know what the response is going to be.
First, you're going to knock it out of the park.
Knock it out of the park.
It'll be back on the schedule in 2026.
But then
2026 will be the question as to how well is it going to do the next time around.
That's the whole thing. It's going to be, well, we wanted a cup race. Well, those are hard to find. I mean, those are really hard to get, and I don't know. I mean, it's like, can these tracks, whether it's Wilkesboro, Rockingham, insert, I don't know what's going to happen with Fontana. Apparently nothing, it looks like. But how can they be satisfied to work into the schedule? Because this schedule, I mean, the days of being able to kind of figure out what's going to happen on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, those are done, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I kind of like that. And now when you hear something that isn't going to change, is two things that are not going to change this year that I think that people want to change. The car may evolve a little bit, but you're not going to see drastic changes on this whole 1.5 mile package and short track package and all that. It's not going to mysteriously fix itself. The tire compounds and all the different things right there that Goodyear's working on. Maybe that's going to get better. Maybe that helps all that. The playoff format, it is what it is. It is what it is. You're not going to see changes right there. The biggest thing this year, if Joey Logano had not won that championship, Bobby, like we were talking about, if he had not won that, I don't think it would have been quite the outcry that we got.
Well, a lot of that is that, but I just think that it's just going to be a challenge. People are always going to be. The good news is that the people that are continuously bitching are continuously watching, because if they ain't watching, they don't know what to bitch about.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, it's like I was saying about the whole with the charter thing. When that ruling came down the other day, it's like everybody's up in arms. And I'm like, you didn't like the charter system. You don't like the charter system. Whatever. I mean, they're doing something right.
Damn, finally, Jared Goff finally got off his ass and threw a touchdown for me. That's what I've been staring at. $400 worth of staring in the middle of the show.
Well, that's all right. That is all right.
Hey, speaking of New Year's, so you saw Mary Ann's Happy New Year thing. What's your New Year's resolutions? You got any this year?
Survive. Same things for me. I mean, it's always just kind of try to, it's changed for me a little bit now, Bobby, because now that my kids have grown up, it's like, set good examples and all that. I mean, I still continue to want to do that, but I mean, now it's more this year. I mean, this year's been a bitch. I mean, we've done the show, and when we do this show, I mean, people see us the way we are, man. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, no
and to be able to get to the finish line this year and be in a really good place, I just want to be able to finish that race right there, to kind of to bookend that, to just kind of keep on doing the right thing, and just there are things that I need to change, there are things that I need to be better at, and hopefully that's something that I'm going to be able to do in 2025. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to lose 800 pounds and do all these different things. I mean, you know, uh, here's my New Year's resolution. It's I'm prepared to tackle the new year and be ready to trip and fall and get myself up, because that's where I've been in the past, where I've been so hard on myself, is when I fuck up. It's like, oh, I just need to be more adaptive. I think now. How about yourself?
Adaptive or reactive?
No, adaptive.
Adaptive.
Adapt to conditions. No, if anything, I need to be proactive. I need to be very proactive, which is not something that I've done in the past. Your thoughts, my man, because your life has drastically changed here in the last fucking month.
Yeah, the last month for sure.
Yeah.
Last 6 months definitely threw a curveball, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't really made any yet. It's still a little early. Got another day. Got another 24 hours where I really have to make some. I think I just need to try to just enjoy the good stuff and get through the bad stuff. I think that's the easiest way to say it, because you just gotta, we always have good times and bad times, but you just gotta kind of find that medium ground and make shit happen, and try to just go, do the best you can, whatever water you got. So
Mhm.
I mean, I guess that's the easiest. That's the best one I got for now. So
Yeah. Inhale the good shit and exhale the bullshit. As one of my one of my cycle instructors used to say, inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit, and just take it day by day. So hopefully everybody, whether you write a resolution down or even do it, I mean, just hopefully it's going to be a good time. As we get set to close this out, goes without saying. And again, like I was talking about right there, we lost a lot of great people this year. Obviously, your dad, right here at the end of the year, Mr. Chaffee, obviously one of our favorite people in the world, your favorite person in the world. But you go back and you look at 2024, and I think right here for a lot of us, I think the Jamie Campbell loss, I think was one that we go back, and I mean, I think a lot of us we still carry that today. I mean, because that was very much when we talk about a short track racer personified. Jamie Campbell, man, look it up in the dictionary. Short track racer in Texas. Definition: Jamie Campbell.
yeah, I saw the shirt the other day and I was digging for something in the closet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was really tough right there. And you still see the 29s and the 129s and all of that tough loss right there. A couple of them that I kind of went back and wrote down. Obviously, we talked to Bobby Allison. Bobby was one of our great, the fact that we had the opportunity to talk with him, losing Bobby.
Great show, by the way. If those have not listened to it, go back. It should be up on YouTube in the archives. Definitely one of our better shows, to spend almost 2 hours with a NASCAR legend. That was pretty kick ass.
Yeah, just sitting there telling stories about stuff he didn't remember. That was a really cool part about that program. And then on the dirt side, I mean, I saw it firsthand there in St. Louis. I mean, Scott Bloomquist, for the dirt track fraternity and folks, I mean, that right there, I mean, that's the equivalent of that's Dale Earnhardt right there for them. I mean, that right there, man.
He was short track Jesus, for lack of a better way to describe him.
Yeah, the GOAT right there. I know our friends at Corpus with Steve Lloyd that did a lot of work there on race cars back in those days. I mean, the class that runs there now. I mean, that was Steve Lloyd. I mean, he built most of those cars. That was pretty massive right there. Parnelli Jones is another one. When you think about that, where it's like you just say that name, Parnelli Jones, and it's like, damn, you remember that name. I mean, it's like. It's kind of crazy when you start losing these folks.
No, that's the way life works.
It does.
It's not how many times you get knocked down; it's how many times you get back up.
Well, Bobby, and then we lost a good friend of the show. It was kind of a weird relationship with him, because for a lot of times we couldn't get him on the air, and then finally he became our buddy, and he's ready all the time. I mean, Eddie Gossage.
Yeah, is that this year or last year?
I think that was this year, wasn't it? I thought it was April. I may be wrong. I thought that was this year. If I'm wrong, we still honor Eddie, because he's just that good to us. Yeah, I think that was this year. I may be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry. But we always have minutes on the show to talk about Eddie Gossage, because he was
a good show friend.
One of a kind, man. One of a kind. Did a lot of really good things, and kind of a hard ass, but he did good things for the sport, and that's most important.
Yeah, no, one of the unsung legends of the sport. So we got a chance to get some good information out of him that time he was on the show, because a lot of times the interviews with us aren't just interviews; they're sit down tell-alls, which is what you'll notice, especially with if you're new to the show. Wait till you see some of the legends interviews and stuff we do. It's not just sure, we love talking to Riley Allen and the Jude Allgaiers of the world. We love talking to the next generation. When you talk to that older generation, it's not just a straight interview. It's a sit down, pull up a chair, pull up a beer, pop open a beer, and sit down. Let's just tell some stories.
That's right.
That's what people want to hear. They want to hear the stories. They want to know the backstory behind a real story, and a lot of times we can get that.
That's right. Fireside chat, as they like to call it, because it's one of those things to where we can drop a memory on them, and they're like, "Oh yeah." And it's like, boom, there we go. I mean, with Terry, I mean, talking to Lamonti on here, it's like talking about things. He's like, oh, and he went on. I mean, he was ready to be done after about 15 minutes, and we started dropping nuggets on him. And an hour and a half later, we were done.
He didn't even feel like it. He even told us that to feel like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Good stuff right there. All of that at RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Don't forget, you've got obviously the Tulsa Shootout. We just talked to Jude Allgaier. You'll have that over on Flow. You've got the Wild West Shootout as well. That's over at Vado. That's about to get going right there. So you're going to
That's a hell of a race,
dude. You're going to see some badass super late model racing happening right there, along with modifieds there at Vado Speedway Park in Arizona. That'll be going on. You got the Dillon race that's going to be coming up this weekend. You can catch that on Racing America, and it's just the beginning. It is just the beginning of what's going to be a really, really massive year in 2025. This short track thing just keeps growing. Short tracks are now huge events, and I am so excited and looking forward to this season coming up.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to enjoy just a little bit of downtime between now and then, but got to work with a few other things. Got some other stuff that has changed priorities to a certain extent with the developments over the last couple of weeks, but definitely I'm still going to hit the ground running when it comes to short track racing coming up in 2025. But I got a little bit of time got some projects and stuff to do, a little bit of projects to do before I get there. So.
Yes, sir. It is coming up, and it will be here. And again, like Bobby talked about, for the folks right here in South Central Texas, I mean, you're doing it into January, man, and you got a big one, 10K to win over at I-37. So pretty good little springboard right there to get that thing started up.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, you guys, enjoy your New Year's Eve. Enjoy your New Year's Day. Like Bobby said again, Bobby's the voice of reason right now. I mean, do it smartly. Do it as smart as you can. Just get out there and enjoy the time. And let's go to 2025 and do some really cool things.
It's going to be a lot of fun in 2025. Best wishes to all of everybody that's out there. If you're new to the show, stay tuned. Check out the archives. I'm sure you'll find somebody that you would enjoy, both on a local, national, and legendary basis. Check it all out. We are indeed the show that started it all. 8 years strong, running from the bottom to the top. So check out the archives if you're new to the show. If you've been there before, pick up an archive and listen to it again.
That's it.
Because it's all about having fun. That's what we like to do on the show. We feel like we try to do that every time.
That's right. Share the hell out of it. Subscribe if you're on the YouTube side. Check out the website and ride with us in 2025. We've got some big things coming up, and looking forward to covering everything from local to regional to national. We cover it all right here. We're live. It is a live cast for a reason, because it is live. Mondays, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern time, right here on every outlet that you're checking this thing out. So we look forward to 2025. Bobby, have a great New Year's, man. Be safe, enjoy the football, and we'll do it again next Monday.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you guys, check in. It's RevvedUpSportsShow.com, #Real Race Talk. We'll see you next time around. Have a great 2025.